for 4 years, then meet somebody else, and then go forward. So I'm gonna let you say something, and I'm gonna go into a little bit more depth on why I think it doesn't matter if it's 4 months or 6 months or whatever it is, on the difference on what you hold to yourself. Is I think is gonna be the difference. You can take time off, but if you ain't clearly recover from it mentally, I think it's gonna be the same situation once you get into a new relationship. So I'm gonna let you say what you guys say, Matt, and I'm gonna come back with something else.
All right, so to me, it's interesting. It's a lot to unpack with that, because to me, it depends on what type of relationship you was in. Mm-hmm. Was it a toxic relationship? Was it a relationship where y'all both had like not your personal life, but your business life, but still you had your business going on. She was corporate, and your times just didn't allow y'all to spend that much time together. And opposed to, staying in a relationship and you don't have the time to give to the other person. So y'all just agree, like, you know what, this is not going to work out. So let's just go our separate ways. We can still be friends. So for me, in that situation, I don't see anything wrong with going from that relationship into another one. Only because if it wasn't toxic, meaning you didn't bring over bad traits or bad experiences, and you still have that in your subconscious, like, man, this person did me like that, so I'm going to be kind of hesitant as far as how I move with her. I won't be as open with her because of my past relationship. I can see that being a problem, but it just depends on the prior relationship, in my opinion. Right. Now, the flip side of that is I could see how that could still be a problem, because if you still holding on to that person and like you truly love them, but like I said, you just didn't have the ability to spend time with them, and y'all separated because of that, you could have some feelings that you're carrying over, like things she used to do. You can say, well, just gonna throw a name out there, Alicia, she didn't do that, and you're constantly comparing. So I can see that being a bad thing to carry over, and then just having that time to recover and say, okay, I was in love with Alicia. We was together for 4 years. Let me go ahead and take my time and just get her out of my system and then start dating. Because you're not necessarily bringing over any baggage. You just allowing yourself not to compare the person you're with now to what the person you was with before. That makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So that's a good point that you said. So I'm gonna give you a scenario, like, and I'm not gonna put names out there. I'm just gonna say when I was in a relationship. For example, when I get with her, she's always speaking on this other guy about what he used to cook, and he always liked to cook for me, and he'd take me out once a month, and it would be brought up. Not every day, but frequently enough to where it's like, to me, if somebody tells me that, I'm like, okay, so then why did y'all break up again? Because if he was doing all these good qualities, why are you not with him? Right. And if you got over that, why do you keep bringing it to the forefront with our relationship? Because I feel like in anything you do, work, like me personally training, I always use that analogy because I train clients. Had a client say, well, Bill used to do this for me when he did my workouts. We did this and we did that. I'm like, well, why aren't you with him? Oh, well, he never had time. He's a great trainer, but he never had time. So we only seen each other once in a blue moon. But he's the best trainer I ever had. I'm like, well, you with me now. So you got to get that out your system and allow yourself to open up and allow me to be who I am in the way I train. That's how, same thing, relationship. If dude cook for you every month or every week, and you love that, for whatever reason y'all broke up, now you with me, let's say I don't cook as much. I may take you out to eat more, but you comparing it and saying, well, how come you don't cook at home? Because so-and-so did it, and he liked to do this. I'm like, well, again, that was before, this is now. You got to get past that and allow me to do what I do and embrace it. If it's a problem, then you shouldn't be with me. So that's why I posed that question, is because time frame to me is important, but then it's not. Because like I said, you could have had a year off but you still gonna resort back to your previous because the situation comes up. That's why I always say I'm a situational guy. Like I said, like if I don't cook and the guy she was with cooked all the time. I'm saying that, making sure that makes sense. And he cooked all the time, and all I do is take you out to eat. But she has a problem with that because, like, how come you don't like to cook? I feel like you should cook for me because Ralph did, and Ralph didn't mind. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not Ralph. You know, I'm doing it this way. I like to take you out to eat because I got a busy schedule. When I get home, the last thing I want to do is cook. So I'd rather take you out to eat. So that's why I always say time doesn't really matter. I think if you hold near and dear whatever that person did, good or bad, I think it does put somewhat of a burden on that current relationship, because to me that's comparing. Because I always had women tell me, don't compare me to other women what they did. If I even mentioned, well, Lisa used to do this, and I have her say, well, why are you telling me about Lisa? I ain't Lisa. So don't tell me, do you want to be with Lisa? Go be with Lisa. So that's why I always feel like if you bring another person up, to me, you're still holding on to that person. Again, it may be just the actual thing they did. It reminds you, good or bad. But to me, you got to give that new person the opportunity to be able to embrace whatever it is they do and let that person be the one that you always speak of. Because to me, that's not good if you always bringing up what somebody did prior to you. Because to me, you didn't let go. You know, I used to do that. I'll be honest. I mentioned women before that what they did and the current one didn't do. And they was always telling me, well, why are you always talking about her? You must haven't got over her. That's the first thing they say. You must didn't get over her like you say you did. Because it clearly shows that you still miss her because you keep bringing her up. And I kind of agree with that. You keep bringing up a certain person, it's something there that you didn't let go, you know? And I feel like that's something you should have more time to really get that out your system and let the new person you with grow with them, because that can be a burden. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but I mean, I'm sure some people can relate. At some point in your life, you had someone that did that where they was holding on to a previous relationship, good or bad, and they always bring that person up. Or if you go out to an amusement park or something, you're like, oh man, Ralph used to do it this way, or we used to go grab a teddy bear. To me, again, that's cool. You know, that's nice to know, but every time we go out, or he used to take me to this restaurant. This is my favorite restaurant. To me, that's holding on. Again, it might resurface. I get it, because you're at a place where it brings back memories. I don't have a problem with that. I think what I mean is if it's something that's reoccurring and it's keep being brought up every time, to me, that's more or less you hold on. Again, good or bad.
I'm laughing because I just had this conversation.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I push back on it, and I don't believe that person is holding on. I believe it's the emotions you carry with that.
Right.
Like, for example, I reminisce about a whole bunch of past relationships, and I don't see that. I don't feel as though that I'm holding on and I'm not letting go. There was something that happened, whether it's bad or good. And like you said, a certain instance, something may come up, or situation, something may come up to kind of take you back to that time. But I've done it, you know, well, I was with so-and-so and she did this, or she did. I could see how that person could feel offended, like, man, why is he always talking about his exes, or why he always talking about her? But in my mind, and my intention is not as far as trying to say I want to get back with that person, or I missed them so much. It's just like, okay, it popped up in my mind, and I was like, damn, I remember so-and-so, you know, she did this or did that. I don't know. I just think it depends on the person and where they at. I think it depends on the context, and like I said, the intent. Like, if you're talking and that person deliberately says, well, Teresa, she did this. The way you do it is totally different from how Teresa did it. When Teresa did it, oh my God, you know, it was amazing. To me, that's wrong, because then you are definitely comparing. But I'm talking about, like, if you're doing something and something comes up, like, damn, you know, I remember what's name used to do that. She did this at one point, or whatever the case is. it's just instantly in that moment, it just popped in my head. That's more so what I'm speaking of, not like you come home from work and, you know, y'all talking like what they, you know, when I was with Teresa, you know, Teresa used to talk about this. So that's different because then to me, you are bringing that person and you're holding on in a sense.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, if you're doing something and something happens in that moment and it just pops in your head and then you speak on it, that's more or less what I do. It's just spontaneous, like something jolts my memory as far as that was said in the conversation or something that
Right,
was doing.
right.
So, yeah, I just think it depends on the intent. Like,
Right.
intention for me is everything.
Let me ask you this. Now, what about photos or pictures? If you see somebody in their ex, they have pictures of their ex. Now, I get it. It's nothing wrong, again, like you just said. There's something to reminisce, but if you have a whole bunch of photos, I don't think you should delete them because to me, that seems like you have an animosity. But if you revert back to them and look at them, be like, man, we used to have fun doing this. And let me clear this up. I don't think there's nothing wrong with your new significant other if you communicate with each other. And I think you need to know about each other's past so that way you have a better understanding of who they are and why they act, you know, and move the way they move. So I think it's good if you both open up and talk to each other about each other's previous. But if you just come, like you said, just looking, and I catch you, you looking at photos, and like, what's that you looking at? Oh, I'm just sitting here remembering when I was with so-and-so, and we actually had fun this year. And to me, again, there's nothing wrong with it, but like, I think you made it a good point when you said about the intent on how they go about it. But again, to me, I just feel like at some point, let's say you 4 years in with your new relationship, you shouldn't be resorting back to the past. That's too long. Now, in the beginning, a year, 6 months, yeah, I get it. Fresh, you still new, you're learning each other. But if you 4 years in, you already developed a relationship and history with that current person. So you shouldn't even be mentioning no previous anymore, in my opinion. You know, 4 or 5 years in, you should be talking about, remember what we did last year or 2 years ago? But if you talking about what you did with your previous, you 4 years in a new relationship, that means you somewhere you holding on a little bit. And again, I think everybody carries a little bit of their previous, good or bad. Is it a sin to do that? No. It's all how you go about using it. Like if you bring it up when you mad at each other. Well, Lisa, when she did this, we ain't argue like this. Or Lisa know how to talk to me. Or Bill, when he talk, he don't yell. To me, that's another way again of, oh, well, I ain't Bill, so why you gonna throw his name in there? I just think, again, I know I'm repeating myself, you're right about the intent. When to say it, how you say it, how you directing it towards each other might be offensive. And I think that's something that we should sit down when we meet somebody new and talk about it. Because I'm gonna bring up Edna. We working on a second go round. And I think this time we're learning from the last time to communicate with each other more. And we talked the other day about each other's past and the dude, who she dated and who I dated and what went wrong and why, So I think that's good to bring it out the forefront because now we're being honest with each other. But if you kind of don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, I think that's going to be setting you up for, again, when you get mad, whoever it is will bring up the other person's previous because they might do it intentionally to piss you off because they know it's going to offend you. So I think that's why it's better to get it out in the open and be like, well, look, this is what happened in the last relationship, but I'm moving on. Because she asked me, she said, why did you break up with your last one? And I told her, I said, she was a good person. It was a lot that, she did for me, but I didn't feel it. And I felt like I was hurting her more and I still have trust issues with women. And then she's like, well, you shouldn't be dating women if you have trust issues. And I told her one of the things that I had a problem with is communication. And you should have me as a priority. So that was a big thing with a lot of my past relationships. If I want a priority and I'm making you a priority, then I feel like that's going to be a problem. And that's one thing that I brought in every relationship is if she's not giving me priority or making me a priority like the other one did, I always kind of push back and fell back and didn't put in my all. So I think in the the beginning, you should always tell each other what good and bad, things that you had in the other relationship. You got to be honest with each other and be understanding and not use it against each other too. Once that day comes where you don't disagree or you just want to be contrary and you throw the other person's name up, knowing that it's going to aggravate or, agitate you. So I think that's important going forward when you meet somebody new.
All right, so I don't know. I think you kind of, I think you kind of told on yourself in a sense.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, you saying that you think somebody's holding on to the other person if they constantly bring them up. Okay, so this is my thing. So what's worse, someone bringing them up consistently, or someone that don't bring them up and they're thinking about them in the back of their mind, not saying anything to you, but just deep down they're thinking about it. Now, this is what to me it poses a question or a red flag if I was a female dating. So if you wasn't verbally saying it or bringing that person up, but now you're dating somebody you used to date in the past, then that tells me you were thinking about them. Because how do you even go back and date somebody from the past if you're not keeping in contact with them? If you truly moved on, then you moved on. So when you go back, that tells me, okay, either you was one, thinking about them, or two, you was still in contact. So once we broke up, then as soon as it was done with, you went back because you had maintained contact with that person. So the question I pose is, what's worse? Someone being upfront and being honest and just telling you, look, I've been thinking about so-and-so, or they talk about them. At least you're aware of it. And you can address it. So you know what, this is not for me. You have too much baggage. You're holding on to your past. It's time for you to move on. At least that gives that person an opportunity to make that decision. But if you're not saying anything at all, and then y'all break up, and then the next thing you know, what the hell? Hold up. How you back with this person? And you said you don't even deal with your exes, and you don't think about them. So you had to be either talking to her or you was thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. But I think we kept in contact, like through Facebook. We would comment on each other because we was friends on there. But it wasn't like, oh, let's go call each other, or let's talk and have a comment. No, it wasn't that. So I think that's a good point, a hell of a good point. How many of us do think about our exes and don't bring it up? That's a good point. Because sometimes you break up with somebody and you, like I said, if you break up on a good reason, I think, not trying to justify it, but it's not like you're going back to somebody that you had a bad time with. It's like, why you getting back with somebody you said you didn't like or whatever? It was, we broke up on a mutual where we both agreed that at that time was not the right time to meet each other. We had good qualities about each other, but the timing was wrong for us to meet. So that's when we parted ways. So the second go around, when we it is funny how we started talking, to be honest. People might be like, that's BS. No, that's not true. Literally, I posted something and it was a comment on it. And then I said, well, I could take you next time. So that's actually how we really started rekindling everything, was from a comment, and then I responded, and then we took a chance. It was just literally just going out to that, it was called that Philly's place with the Italian water ice and the pretzel. And the comment was, when you gonna take me? And I said, I'll take you next weekend. So it's more one of those like joking things, but it turned into an actuality where I took her over there, we had pretzel and the Italian water ice, and we started conversating, and next thing, led to the next. We just realized, wow, the chemistry was still there. The fire that we thought was going, it was rekindled. And sometimes it's by accident. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't, next year I'm gonna try to get back with you if I run into you. It was never that. Literally, we didn't communicate on a regular basis. It's just like I said, it was a comment, it was a response, and then we acted on it and just found out. As we always talk about energy and that vibe, the energy was good, the connection was there, so we just took it in and just went forward. So is that unfair to the other person? it is in a sense if, like you said, if it was verbally spoken, oh, I would never get back with her, and I just couldn't stand her, then yeah, if you badmouthed them and said everything bad, like it would never happen, yeah, that's not right to the one you just broke up with. Because now it does look like you was lying or you was communicating throughout the whole time. So that's a great point you made on that. I think that makes a difference on how you came across in your ex or how y'all broke up. Because I don't communicate with a lot of my exes, but a lot of us are friends. Do we talk every day? No. But if we see each other on Facebook and it's something we did, we comment, hey, how you doing? How you been? You know, that's all it is. So I don't think is a bad thing. But if you continuously communicate, then yeah, that's not right. On any level, from man or woman, whoever's doing it. So that was a great point.
All right, so getting back to the topic,
yeah.
when is too long to wait? Or how long should you wait? So now I'm going to get into the metaphysical, spiritual side of it. So, like, I see people now, I didn't see this before, but I'm coming to the realization that anybody and everybody we come in contact with is a reflection. I call them reflections. Like, when I see people, I call them, you're my reflection. If you're in my life, you're a reflection of what's going on inside of me. So, now getting to the question, like I said, now I'm going to go on the other side. So, if you were in a relationship and it was toxic, whether if it was your fault or her fault, every cause of the toxicity in the relationship had to do with both parties, not just one. So, meaning I had to do some self-reflection, introspection, and find out what it is about me that if I'm keep attracting the same type of women, or every relationship that I'm in is keep failing. So then I have to stop and say, okay, I need to get in touch with me. I have to just date myself. And I don't know if you've heard that term before, where date yourself first. And if you can't spend time by yourself, and how you expect somebody else to spend time?
Somebody else, yeah.
So from that aspect, I see that waiting, and you can't put a time period on, because it's all based off of the work that you're doing to work on yourself and find out what it is that you need to work on. That can be a year, it could be 5 years, 10, however long it takes for you to get to that higher self. Then you should really technically get back in a relationship. So to answer the question, in my opinion, is you really can't put a time frame on it. Like I said, if it's toxic, then you should definitely step back, put some self-reflection on yourself, and find out why is it that you keep getting in these relationships? Why did the relationship fail? And then once you find the answer, then move forward. And then if it's the other side, where if it's mutual, same thing. You got to ask yourself, okay, do I have to allow myself time, not to heal, but allow myself time to come down from, the feelings I have for her, so that way when I get in another relationship, I'm not expecting my ex in the person I'm with now. So again, it depends on you, where you at mentally, spiritually, physically, and everything. So I think that has to be looked at if anybody honestly actually answer this question or look at it. That's my opinion on that side of it.
So let me ask you this: what do you feel about, or do you agree that sometimes when you get out of a relationship and you get into another one, it's because you're trying to get over the previous and you're using that person you with now as a distraction to get over the other one? Now, I know you just said about it all within you and how you determine, but what if you felt like, okay, I'm ready, I did enough, inner looking in myself, and you meet somebody else, but you only doing it because you still somewhat have feelings for the other one, even though you think you got over the other one, because now you're in a relationship and things come up, situations come up, it resurfaces. So do you think you would stay with that person because you just still trying to get over them, or you feel like you really ready to move on and learn that new person? Because I've been with someone, and if she's seen this, she's gonna know I'm talking about her, obviously. But she said she was on a 3-year sabbatical, and she had a bad time 3 years prior. She learned herself, got into herself. When we start dating, certain things came up where she didn't still have trust, and she didn't believe it because what happened before. But I'm like, if you had 3 years to come to yourself and realize your value, self-value, and self-worth, why are you still acting the same way? Like, things that come up, certain situations, you're reacting as if you was with that last person. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is not even what it is. It's just something simple, but the response that I'm getting from her is she's actually acting out her previous relationship. So that's why I said, does time really matter? Because 3 years to me is a long time to say you were recovered, but because you getting into a new relationship, you think you're ready, but situations came up, it made you bring all that back to surface. Because that's what she told me is, well, you did something that my other guy did, and it makes me wonder, and I have to be careful. So I'm like, well, damn, that was 3 years ago, before. So you can't base me off of the previous, especially that long. So that's why I made that comment about, is time really, going to heal if you still have that mindset? So that kind of answered the question you already said, basically, about your mindset and who you are.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You answered the question for yourself, really. And not to sound like I'm no relation expert or anything like that. It's just that, like I'm currently doing shadow work on myself. So that's like doing deep introspection all the way back to childhood. And this is another aspect that people have to think about. Some people have childhood trauma that they haven't let go of. So you put childhood drama on top of relationship drama, and you never took time to truly heal. You're never going to get to that point. So just like you said with your friend, it's been 3 years, but to me that sounds like she never truly did the actual work, because the trigger still affected her. And this is a conversation I had the other day, as they said that you're holding on, like you said, you're holding on to that person because you keep talking about it. I said, well, this is the difference. This is what I learned in therapy. Is you're never truly going to forget, but when that person's name comes up, and if you respond emotionally or however you respond, that determines if you're still holding on. If someone brings up something that happened, someone you was dealing with, and that person comes up, that name comes up, and he's like, man, that motherfucker, I can't stand them. You getting pissed off, and you can visually see, then you haven't gotten over it. You still holding on. But if you can laugh at it and you can talk about it freely and not have those same type of emotions, then you truly has moving on. And that's what I was taught in therapy. So, and like, for example, with Tam, my ex-wife, with the child support and my retirement, that was a trigger for me for the longest. I'm getting better. I'm getting to the point now I'm not as bad. But before, I physically would be like pissed off, and I could feel the emotion raging through me because that was a trigger. Her name was a trigger to me. So the point I'm trying to make is, your friend, she never truly got over it. Sounds like it. So certain things would trigger her, and then she went back to that situation. So she reacted to that emotion. And this is what I learned in therapy. Most people, when they get upset, they're not getting upset at you. They're getting upset based off of whatever it was that triggered them, because they're responding to the emotion of whatever they went through in the past. And that's why you can't really take at face value when somebody get pissed off or whatever, especially if it's something mentioning something that could have triggered them that happened in the past you may have no clue about. So everybody have trigger words. And the work that I'm doing now in this shadow book, the first part of it talks about, you got to write about your childhood, things that happened in your childhood. How did you feel when you was a child and stuff like that? And then in the second part of the book, it has a whole list of triggers. What triggered you today? So when you come home and something happened, and if you feel as though you got emotional about something that to somebody else is like, really? It wasn't that serious. So that's a trigger for you. So you have to write down, why did you feel that way? What was you thinking about? And so forth. So that's how you kind of get over those situations, is you have to write it out. And I was telling somebody, like, all emotion is trapped Anger is trapped energy. Hate
Right.
is trapped energy. Lust is trapped energy. All that stuff is energy, and it's going to come out. You know, for lust, what are you going to do? You're going to be promiscuous. Hate, what are you going to do? You might constantly kill somebody. You might verbally abuse people. That energy is coming out at some point. So with writing, now you're taking that energy, what's inside of you, you're putting it, transferring it to the paper. So you're releasing that energy in a positive way.
Right.
So anyway, I want to get off topic.
No. That's good. I'm gonna turn my light on. Hold on. It's getting dark.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's going on over there with the light?
Yeah,
Some lighting over there.
it's like super dark outside. Look like it's about to rain. So I don't know if that's gonna help. I might have to reposition. So
Yeah, you got to get Deanna's light. You know, she don't let you use the
no,
light.
that light she blew out. So I have to get another
my
one.
goodness.
Damn, that's even worse.
I know y'all probably lost the green screen and you lost the light too.
No. The green screen we have it, but
You just
she
don't wanna
actually
use
has to get a new light. So I don't know if that helps, but
Yeah, that's better than before. I thought you had a dark energy coming in your house, moving in on you.
no. No, but I mean that's good stuff though. I mean that's kind of how I am too. I understand what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. So that's why I wanted to talk about this, and I want guys to give input. And I'm just curious again to see how other people think about this, because we was talking about this at work, and then like I said, Edna and I was talking about it. So I felt like, man, this would be a good subject to bring up, because I always think sometimes we individuals bring the past up and don't even realize it to the other person we with. And then when they be like, why you keep talking about them, we feel like they tripping. Really, it's something like you said, we got to look within ourselves and realize, hey, am I really over this person? Because it's not fair to the new person to keep bringing them up, regardless if it's not really disrespecting them or not. It's just, you don't want to keep hearing something that seems like it's again a burden to them, because it makes it seem like you are holding on, when probably in reality you're not. Like you made a good point about they not mad at you, the situation that rekindles or resurfaces, and then that's what they responded to, because that's what I do a lot. The situation comes up and I react to it, and then she be like, why are you getting mad at me? I'm saying, it's not even you, it's just the situation that happens. It makes me resort back to what happened. So that's my mindset. So I think that's a good point. And I think that's what a lot of us, not all of us, but sometimes we respond to situations from our previous, again, good or bad, and we just kind of share it. But I think it is the individual at the end of the day. Is what I'm gonna sum it up as. I don't think time will heal if you don't allow yourself to heal. So, I mean, you could take 3-4 years, but if you don't, like you said, the process that you put in those 3-4 years is what's going to count. Not just because it's been a 4-year time frame. And I think that's what's important. That's what I get out of it. You know, because, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question. This still kind of pertains to what we're talking about, kind of, sort of. Okay, me personally, I think somebody that brings that whole holding on thing is a negative connotation to me. So that's a trigger for me, because I don't think it's holding on. It just sounds bad to me. But anyway, a lot of women, or at least some that I've known or talked to and dated, they didn't bring up, you know, people they dated in the past, and that always was kind of like, I don't say a red flag, but it was kind of had me keep an eye on them, because I think it's kind of natural sometimes to mention it. Like I said, not on a consistent basis, but every now and again you might mention it. But to never say anything, I don't know. I just think sometimes those are the ones that's truly either thinking about the person or they maintaining some certain type of relationship. I may be wrong, but this is what I wanted to ask you. So let's say you dating somebody in a relationship, and this person experienced certain things with that ex, that's the only person they experience with, and they don't experience that with you. Do you feel as though that person just moved on from that and it doesn't bother them, or are they secretly thinking about it or reminisce? because it's hard for me to believe anybody, man or woman, that had an experience that was probably the best experience that they ever had, just going to just totally just dump it and like, oh, I'm never going to think about that again. It's just hard for me to believe that nobody or somebody would not have a moment. It was like, damn, woo, that was good, boy. I remember it. And not just sexually. I'm just saying that any aspect. Yeah, anything that person won't reminisce. I just don't believe that. If it is, I would love to meet that person. You know, because just as humans, we think backwards. You know,
right?
So I'm just curious what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, I think that is normal. I mean, again, I think what you said is, in a nutshell, is your intent on how you bring it. But yeah, I think it's normal to reminisce on something that was very special or near and dear. To ignore it like it never happened or don't want to do it again, to me, that would be a little bit like, well, why? It was such a good experience. Why wouldn't you want to do it or experience it again, even though maybe with somebody else, you're experiencing that with that person? So to me,
I'm saying, I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but I'm saying, and not experience it with you, but I'm saying it just as far as revert back and thinking about it.
Just thinking about it. Or sharing it with you, or just thinking about it in general.
Yeah, just think about it in general. Like if someone was to tell you, oh, I don't think about any prior relationships, and if you know that you weren't the one that gave them, like I said, in any aspect, not just physically, and you don't bring that to them, do you believe that it's possible that if it happened before that they don't think about it?
No, I think they do. I mean, again, that's what I was saying. I think that's good and important to talk to each other about that. And I had women ask me, why do you want to know about my past? That's past. Why you care? Don't worry. I'm saying, it's not that I'm worried about it. I think you learn more about your person if you know a little bit what they've been through. Because, I mean, I don't want to say you dwelling on it, but the old saying is you learn from your past, so you need to go forward or know how to go forward. So I think knowing each other's past a little bit, good and bad, you want them to kind of bring up things that was good, because now you know how they handle it, how their reaction was. So to not know anything about a person's past, to me, would be kind of weird, because it's like, are they hiding something, or why aren't they sharing? Are they embarrassed about it? So why aren't you? Because you don't have to tell everything, but a little bit, to me, will help me know you a little bit better. So I don't know if that answers your question, but to me, it'd be kind of interesting that you don't ever think about it or reminisce. But I think we all do. I do. You know, do I make it seem like, damn, I miss it? No, but I think about it, be like, damn, that was a good time I had with Jennifer. You know, to myself, I don't have to share with her, but I might think back. Because again, a situation may come about where it's going to resurface anyway. If it's a place you went or something you did, it's going to bring back memories anyway on its own. Because actually, it's funny, we was leaving. I know this is totally off subject, but just kind of make a point. We was backing up. We was going to the gym, and Edna goes, you should put a cone right there and say the parking spot. And I start cracking up. And I'm like, oh my God, that took me back to how my dad used to, you know how we used to do, put a chair to say the parking lot and shit. And I'm like, that's funny. We used to do that back in the day. They used to put cones out, or back then we would put a chair in a parking spot to try to save it until we come back. So my point is, stuff comes up that's going to make you remember good and bad. Or like when we was in the park and that incident happened with the BB gun. So it's stuff that comes up, I think, even in relationships where it's going to resurface. And you're going to remember it. So to think that nobody or actual person would never reminisce, I don't think that's possible. Because something's going to come up at some point. Now, if you try to block it, that's something different. But if you don't have no problem with it, I think we do. I know I do. I can't speak for everybody, but I know that's normal for me to think and reminisce. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, this is how you bring it across, or how you share it with your significant other. You know, I think that makes a big deal, a big difference. But hopefully that answers the question.
No, it does. Going back to the other question I asked, because I think about prior relationships. I'm not gonna lie, I do. Like for example, when I was in Virginia, I don't know if I told you this story, but when I first went into the military, I met I think her name Letitia. And she was, I think, 18. I was 21, 22 or something like that. We kicked it. She was in the fitness like I was in the fitness, and she was just a real cool person. Right. So I have to put my business out there, but I was with her before I met Tam, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And so I had a choice to choose between the two, and I chose Tam. So long story short, I think it was 10 years or 20 years later. Oh, prior to that, so we used to do everything together. She didn't drive. I taught her how to drive a Standard. And so I finally moved, got married, had children and stuff. And when I came back to Virginia after I retired, when I was starting the TFRT, the fitness business, right, I seen her on Facebook, and then I found out she went to the military. She went to the Air Force. She went to the Olympics. She was a big time female bodybuilder. She was in magazines and stuff like that. She was a consultant. So I don't know if I told you that, but I hired her as a consultant to help with the business.
No, you never told me that.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there thinking, it was like she was real professional. She was talking to me like I'm a client. Right. I was like, you don't remember me? And she was like, yeah, I think I remember you a little bit. And that just messed my head up because I'm like, wow, you serious? I said, I taught you. Like, who forgets who taught them how to drive? And a Standard on top of that. That's something you can't, because not many cars have sticks. Right. So the point is, to me, is like certain things should stick out. Like, I don't think there's nothing wrong to hold on to that, because that's like a monumental moment. Yeah. So that's the first time I learned how to drive, and for her, I don't know if she was just saying that to not let me think that she wasn't ever thinking about me, but that messed me up, because I was like, damn, this woman don't even remember me. So I guess what I'm saying is it bad to hold on to something, like I said, that was like a hallmark moment, so to speak?
No, because that's something that you look back on. It was a good time. It's a good memory to have. I think that's a good memory, like you said, it's monumental, because you taught her how to drive a Standard, and that's something that, like you said, you shouldn't forget. I don't know how she would forget that, or she just didn't want to lead it on, or let it be known. But she probably did remember that. But I mean, like for me, my personal trainer, when I first ever got a personal trainer, it was a lady, and it stood out because the way she trained me. So it's certain things I think you're going to have that's going to always, again, be near and dear. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it if you go for it, because we wind up talking at some point. That's the only reason why I brought that up. But it's not something that I'm carrying with me the rest of my life, but it's a thought that's always going to be there because it was a good moment. It was a special moment. It's a memorable moment. So I think that's good moments to have in memory. Because like I always do when I take pictures, I always say, make it memory. And then one thing Edna does that I kind of was like, okay, that's cool. Because I questioned her the other day because she always liked taking photos. And I was like, I do too. But she said, this is memories. I like to make memories. So I was like, you keep memories of everybody you was with. If you take photos that's with a guy. She's like, yeah, it's memories. Why should I delete that? So, and I was always thinking that was weird. And I always thought that was holding on. And then I thought about it. And I was like, I guess that's good to always have good memories. Again, they don't have to be bad, but it could be good. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's just some time that you had spent with that person. Doesn't mean that you didn't let go or you wish you could have it again. It's just good memories to look back on. Because nobody want to look back on the bad ones. I know I don't. So I think that's a good thing. Because at first I was against it. I was like, you don't need to be having photos of every damn dude you dated and who does that. I really was like against it. And I just thought about it. I was like, well, I guess it's not that bad. It's not like she's bringing them up and just showing them to me every day. Again, that would be, to me, a hold on. I know you don't like that word, but something you ain't let go of. So, again, I think it all depends on how you attend. So, to me, that was pretty cool after I stopped and actually digested it and thought about it. I'm like, okay, it's making memories. Some people photographically remember stuff. She just like to do it on her phone. So You know, who's to say that's wrong? You know, as long as you ain't wishing that you were still with that person, then that's different. You know,
but see, that's what's interesting because I'm a picture taker. I love taking pictures, and I don't know if Android does this. Not Android, Apple, but Android. It holds everything. It puts it in the cloud, and what it does on that date, it shows you. So it's like you can't forget.
Right?
On a phone or a computer, it's going to show those memories.
It's going to show you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I still believe, like you said, it's the intent. And if it doesn't put you back in that emotion, I honestly don't see anything wrong with it. Maybe because I haven't experienced it on the other end.
Right.
So I don't know how that feels. But just for me personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. But
well, I have. That's why I'm speaking on that, because I've been in that where I dated someone and she could not stop talking about the guy. And that's why, to me, at first, like, you clearly still hung up on this dude. Like, why did y'all break up again? Oh, he was a player. He's an asshole. He tells all the women that, but he still made her feel good. And whatever he did with her, she couldn't, get it out of her mind. I'm like, well, to me, it seemed like you still caught up on him. And we get a little disagreement. She's like, you need to get over that. If I wanted to be with him, I'd still be with him. And I'm like, well, why you always bring him up? So I always thought that was a way of not letting go. But it was just good memories she had of that guy. And there wasn't no reason for her to have the bad ones to hold on to, because who wants to be walking around remembering bad stuff? So I had to sit back again, digest it. It's like, okay, as long as you don't throw it in my face. Because we would conversate and talk about stuff, then his name would always come up. So that's why I took it as, you ain't over this guy, because it's always his name popped up. Whenever we talk about any subject, whether it's going to a movie or an event or something, his name will always pop up. So I was just like, okay, this dude clearly is in your mind a lot, So that's when I did it too with women, and women told me the same thing. Are you sure you're not over her? And I'm like, no, it's just good times. Like Edith, my ex-wife, Marcus' mom, I used to always mention her a lot. Way back when we first broke up. And I was like, when we did this and we did that, and the girl I was dating was like, really, why are you not with her? Because it seemed like you should be, because you always bring her up. It seemed like you were in love with her, the way you speak on her. Because I never dogged her out. So I always spoke good. So to her, she felt like I was still caught up on her because I never said nothing negative. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up, is if you speak highly of your ex, even though it's your ex, does that designate that you still holding on, or you still have feelings because you don't have anything bad? It's almost like sometimes people expect you to say something negative to say, oh, he over her, oh, he's over him. I mean, she's over him. You know what I mean? Because if you keep saying good stuff, it's like, well, why the hell aren't y'all together? That's the way I used to think. So I'm wondering what you think about that.
So this is how I see it. Your intent, or everybody's intent when they get in a relationship, is to truly be with that person, be transparent, hopefully, grow in love together and so forth. And for whatever reason, if that doesn't happen, more so on the positive side, if you just separate because of whatever reasons, then to me, it was never real. Because if you're truly developing a real relationship and real, true, universal love, that can't be disconnected. You can still have the understanding that, okay, I know we can't ever be together, but we can still be platonic friends and not go anywhere. So that's where it's hard for me. Like, if you really met somebody and y'all are connected, y'all was like twin flames, and for whatever reason it didn't work out, but because y'all are actually twin flames, how could you not talk about that person, whether it's in a high way or a positive way or whatever? Y'all are twin flames. So again, that's why I see that it shouldn't be looked at as, well, you holding on. If y'all connect in any kind of way, why can't it just be, okay, that person has a true connection, that's a true friend? Why should that person feel as though, well, damn, he can't let her go, he's still holding on to her? And that's what I think where I have pushback, is because it's always the negative but that, well, you holding on. No, it's not holding on. That person was really a good person. And, you know, so when I think of them, I think of the goodness that they bring, you know, the loving spirit that they bring. So that makes me feel giddy or seem like I'm, you know, happy when I'm speaking of them, because that's the type of person that they are. So why not look at it from that perspective, opposed to what you still holding on? Why can't you let them go? You're holding on to them.
Right.
So it's just many different ways you can approach that.
Yeah.
Depending on how that person is speaking on them. But if they are speaking on them highly, it's just, again, having an open mind and just truly knowing what their intentions are. So hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, that did. So I guess in conclusion, to sum it up, the topic is there a time frame? Should it be a time frame on from one relationship to the other? So I guess summing it up from what I get from our conversation, it boils down to the individual on how they recover and get their mind right. Because it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 3 years. But if you don't get yourself right in that process, it really don't matter. That's just my take on it. So I think it was a good subject. I don't know how this works as far as it being live. Y'all can still send comments, but if y'all do or can, please do. Because like I said, I want to get feedback on this because I'm curious. I always like to know how other people think and on their opinions, because I feel like that's how you learn each other, is by communicating and then learning different others' opinions on things. So on that note, thanks guys for watching. We went live, so hopefully, you know, we can continue to do this, because I think live would be better, and we just go forward and we can actually bring guests on and interact.
So this was a great topic. I'm not going to try to act like I'm a relationship expert, so I'm not going to give my opinion as far as, you know, what people should do. But as far as the topic within itself, when is a good time? When is it a good time? I think it depends on the person and, you know, the self-work that they're doing within themselves. So on that note, I do want to give a shout out to a great podcast. It's called Culture Corner. I'm going to make sure I'm saying that right. Culture Corner. Tanya Potts and her mom. It's a spiritual type of podcast. I learned some stuff on it. The last couple of episodes I watched is on YouTube. So make sure y'all check that out. And again, remember this: your thoughts becomes your belief, and your belief becomes your manifestation. So on that note, beautiful people, check us out. This will be aired Wednesday, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
We out.
In a world of envy, analyze as these guys looks to see. They clones to the naked eye, the dynamic dude, no pesticides, they organic, day and night's the podcast. In panoramic in 4K, live streaming on your airwaves, no cliche to downplay, this ain't no child's play. Twin brothers close knit, but ain't a gang, personalities differ, like a yin and a yang, not alike, with certain views, philosophies and principles, inspiring nature's knowledge. Metaphysical, the sun, moons, the stars, mass attraction, affinity, the Big Bang Theory, the energy, infinity. Next we got Marcus, the opposite, laid back, chillin', kick back, laxed in a Cadillac, casinos and blackjack, blues and a side chick, slick, sly, mischievous, surreptitious, no love lost between, they always bonding, they wonders of the world, they monsters, the twin Tompkins, brought on only born, they travel the world stomping at the brink of dawn daily. The iron's pumping, I bring you no brothers, about to bring you their life. Look no further, everybody, cause it's day and night.